group. The floor is yours, Maryam.
Hello, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar that is organized by, actually the initiative was taken within the working group, research working group within the UNICA. So we have, UNICA has about 7 working groups, and we research working group is basically, many of us are working as research support function in different universities, and we are, the goal of this group is basically sharing experience and best practice, and with that making our support function even better. So the added value of working together is our main goal, basically. So I'm really excited for this webinar. And just for your information, if you are a UNICA member and attending this, and you have working, or you're working in a research support function, please contact us and be part of our work. We meet about once a month, and we are actually in the beginning of developing this working group and working with different issues that help our researchers doing even better research. So with that, I leave the floor to Carmen, who is going to moderate this exciting workshop. And thank you to our colleagues that are going to share their experience today with us.
Thank you very much, Maryam. I want to thank you, both the network and the organizers of this meeting, for having invited my university. I come from the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. We normally call ourselves UAM, so maybe I refer to my university as UAM during my talk. I'm really happy to be here and to have the opportunity of sharing our experiences and knowing how are you doing with this next challenge of Horizon Europe. The Universidad Autónoma de Madrid has a really long way behind, because in our country, the legislation established since 2007 the need for universities to create specific structures devoted to promoting an horizon of equality between women and men. That means that we have a long way behind and quite a long experience, but not always a really good experience, in the sense that some of our expectations are not reached the point we wanted to reach. And I think that this opportunity that Horizon Europe establishes new requirements and new recommendations regarding gender equality plans will help us to effectively improve our measures, and will help us to engage people in this long way towards the real equality. Our first gender equality plan was created in 2011, which is quite a long time ago, and was created after a long phase of almost 3 years of diagnosing for the first time the situation of equality in our university. And we really didn't discover, we simply could demonstrate that there were really barriers, both vertical and horizontal, for real equality between women and men. And this plan established more or less 100 different actions structured around 5 different axes and encompassing all our community, both staff and students. We think that students are part, and a really important part of our community, and should be considered in our plans together with the staff. After the evaluation of this plan, after 5 different diagnoses at this time, we can see that several things have really changed in the expected sense, but still we have some sort of situations which are really different. Are really difficult to modify, especially in the research and teaching implementation of a gender perspective, which is really, really difficult. Also in the leadership and decision making of women, which seems to be difficult too, in the sense that we have not many women leading research boards, and we far from balance in research teams. Two of the objectives not included in the gender equality plans measures, but related to the EU policies regarding gender equality. So we are really happy of this new opportunity of pushing our plans with this new legislation, with this European legislation. Right now, we are running our third equality plan. We are in the middle of the period of the implementation, which lasts 4 years in now, and now we are in the third year of the plan. We are just starting the new diagnosis, and we are just starting the evaluation of this plan. We are happy in the sense that most actions have been initiated, at least, but most of them still need some really, really important engagement of the community. So I hope that this meeting will help us, even though we have a long experience in the field, we still have a lot of things to learn. And I hope that this meeting will help us to improve a little bit more our policies and to learn from all those people who are with us right now. And now I want to introduce our first speaker. She's, sorry, because I don't remember the name. I have to have a look at my notes. She is Zuzana Lisoňová. She's from the University of Bratislava, from the Comenius University of Bratislava, which is the organizer of this meeting. She is the head of project office at this university, which is a central office for the implementation of projects and providing help to all the faculties and centers. She has involved in a lot of research projects, and she will talk us about the DEP, the role of DEP in the new Horizon Europe. So, Zuzana, I give you the floor and you can start whatever you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmen. Good morning, everybody. Let me share my screen with you so I can start the presentation in a second. Sorry. And let's hop into the topic. We are very, very happy that so many of you are interested in this topic because, as Maryam already mentioned, in our research working group, we discussed it and we felt that it is important to continue to discuss some of the details. Many of you are familiar with the change of eligibility criteria in Horizon Europe that was introduced by the European Commission, but it's not only about that one eligibility criteria, it's also about some other elements and parts in the Horizon Europe program that I will try to guide you through within my presentation. My presentation is also part of the Horizon 2020 research project called Equal for Europe that I'm part of the core team, and it's been implemented in Comenius University in a wonderful consortia, which helped us also in my university to create our own gender equality plan that is that has been in preparation. So, but let's get back to Horizon Europe. Gender is a very important topic in Horizon Europe in the whole program. It's a so-called cross-cutting objective. Those who are working with European funded projects, you are familiar with the gender flagged projects and gender being part of the calls, but it was kind of a bit of minor or one of the many things. Now we see it really implemented throughout the program because it is applied in applications, it will be applied in projects, and it will be also viewed in results. And at the end of my presentation, I will look at or show you some policies behind this structure that is implemented in Horizon Europe. So Horizon Europe is the biggest funding program that EU has created for the research and innovation actions and also coordination actions. And many of the European programs currently have kind of motive or logo or motto that try to define their mission. Horizon Europe aims for a greener, healthy, digital and inclusive Europe. And of course, gender equality falls into inclusive part of the program, but not only. It's relevant for all pillars, sub-programs and also elements. So for those who are very familiar with it, I don't want to go into details. And for those who are not very familiar, I just wanted to show you that this is the overall structure of the program with different types of actions, with different goals into innovation, into very typical goals aimed at challenges and on the standard of excellent science. And gender is now relevant for all of these, not only for selected topics, because gender equality plan is a responsibility of the organization that wants to apply and be granted through Horizon Europe. It is also a responsibility of the individual teams and consortiums that are created within these actions, and researchers, because we have individual grants here as well, are also or needs to address gender equality in the Horizon Europe applications, projects, and also results in the future. As a cross-cutting objective, you can find gender equality in work program, especially in the part of widening participation and strengthening the European research area. There are specific calls already planned for this and next year. For example, they are specifically named. You can find them in the program, but for example, Commission is interested into policy coordination to advance the European research area implementation, because it has specific target on gender equality. Then there are some innovative calls on living lab for gender responsive innovation that in these calls and in these projects should spring some very interesting findings for the European innovation technologies pillar in the program. So as we have seen from previous programs in Europe, many individual projects are then the fruit for the next programs and for the other parts. And this also still is valid in Horizon Europe. But besides the open calls, there you can find gender in the specific actions. Many of you are familiar with She Figures. So She Figures is also supported through Horizon money and different awards like Gender Equality Champions. But also there is a creation of Gender Equality Facility that will be specifically devoted. These are closed actions. And what is of interest is also expert commission that will focus on the impact of COVID-19 pandemic situation on gender equality. Many of you are familiar at your own institutions how the COVID pandemic has changed the working and has changed the publication records of individual researchers. and these will be very well monitored and evaluated by this commission expert group. And of course, many of us will build upon their recommendations later on. Gender equality is addressed as a eligibility and award criteria as well. And later on, I will show you how the current legal grant application looks like, and where are the actual already results that are monitoring gender equality, and how the individual projects feed into gender equality. So I think the reason why many of you joined this today's seminar is the well-known eligibility criteria of establishing and having implemented gender equality plan at your institution. And this is what I call the institutional responsibility, because a public body, higher education establishment, or research organization coming from member state or associated countries is now eligible for Horizon Europe projects only if it has a valid gender equality plan. We are at the end of November, so the period where you can tick no in your application is nearly finishing, because everything that has deadline in 2020 and beyond, this will be also entering eligibility criteria. So many of our institutions are finishing to really introduce the gender equality plan, and being able then to apply and receive grants funded from Horizon Europe. And the gender equality plan has not only it has to be, but the Commission has specified elements as a minimum process-related requirements, so-called building blocks for gender equality plan. The plan has to be a formal document published at institutions' website and signed by the top management. The gender equality plan has to have a dedicated resources that show the commitment and expertise in gender equality to implement the plan. So the follow-up speakers are those kind of people who are already these very committed experts, and I'm glad they will show and share their expertise with their gender equality plans. Moreover, a permanent data collection monitoring has to be part of the gender equality plan. Data, sex or gender disintegrated data on personnel and students also should be reported on annual basis, and also should include indicators where you will monitor and evaluate how you evolve within this. And last but not least, part of the gender equality plan is to introduce trainings, awareness training, raising training on gender equality and unconscious gender bias for staff and decision maker. I think many of you have experienced, when you start to talk about this topic, how many different people react to the topic, and this is part of our biases that we have in our culture, and that we take with us. Also, Commission has been precise, European Commission has been precise what should be the content of the gender equality plan. So there are areas that needs to be covered, and these are recommended, but very naturally these are covered in gender equality plans. Is work-life balance and organizational culture, gender balance in leadership and decision-making, gender equality in recruitment and career progression, integration of gender dimension into research and teaching content, measures against gender-based violence, including sexual harassment. Because my follow-up speakers will focus on many of these elements, I will also guide you through the integration on gender dimension into research and teaching content, because here the Commission is already specific in actual applications. I have looked at the current standard applications for Horizon Europe actions projects, and very easily you can find and see where gender equality is already implemented in the very structure of the application. We were used to that, gender was flagged, or you prepared a gender balance team, and that was it for the projects. It's not the case anymore. Excellence, the most important part of every project, has to appropriately consider gender dimension in research and innovation content. Also, researchers and consortia are required to address how gender dimension is taken into account in their methodology. This is a mandatory part. And if the gender dimension or analysis is not relevant, they also need to address that in the application. So there is no chance, or they will be losing points if they don't address these things from the very beginning of the structuring of their projects. And they are not left by alone. Besides the expertise that is based on our individual institutions, a commission has published several publications. For this part, the recommended one is Gendered Innovation #2. It's a second version, how inclusive analysis contributes to research and innovation. So this policy review already helps applicants how to address these requirements in the application. Moreover, also in the quality of the implementation, when it comes to the actual consortium and participation and participants, they need to describe how or who is an expert on gender aspects in research and innovations. And consortia also need to take into account, like, which member will be the expert who will be then helpful in designing all this. And only in the last part of the application, the standard number of male, females, or non-binary researchers is then reported. So, as you can see, it's very structured in the very design of the applications and the research. When it comes to evaluation, of course, there is a very high chance that there will be applications that are evaluated with the same same points, and then for that the evaluation has priority orders. This is a official description of these prioritizations. So, and in the third point, you can see if still after using the first two rounds of balancing the projects in the third step, also gender balance among the personnel is part of the evaluation process and might decide if the application is granted or not. So this is also something that we need to be aware, because it helps us to explain that it's very important to take all these aspects when drafting the application. For the grant agreement, the current version of grant agreement has article number 14 about gender mainstreaming. And here we can see that the language has changed a lot. Beneficiaries must take all measures to promote equal opportunities, not are obliged or should or try, they must take. So the gender equality plan, which is a tool, is then very, very important to fulfill the grant agreement requirement, and is very instrumental for the organization how to proceed, no matter how many projects there are at the university, but how to evolve in the gender balance topic. And also it really requires to address the supervisory and managerial level. So it's not only about the researchers, it's about the structure of the institution. And this is part of the institutional responsibility that I was mentioning. Within current platforms where projects are evaluated, Horizon Results platform, you might be familiar. Now you can really easily find which projects have gender element in them, because they are flagged with sustainable development goals. And it's very helpful if you are looking for somebody specific for your consortia. This is also the way when you need to fill in the expertise to the consortia, especially on gender equality. This also will help you to find somebody, but also help you to communicate and disseminate and address your results. And this is just a screenshot, but you can very easily search through gender equality. So what's the policies behind? Of course, gender equality strategy. We in the EU, we strive for union of equality, and gender mainstreaming is the key. And here Commission also really made the link between funding and gender equality. And that's why especially Horizon Europe has this part. Just to save some time, you can, within my presentation, you can also find some very interesting data from the gender equality strategy. And these are just examples why the gender equality plans needs to address the managerial part, because we still lack female in highest positions, and especially at the university, we know the glass ceiling, the leaky pipeline.
Zuzana, please. It's only 1 minute left.
Yes, I'm moving to end. So that's the gender equality strategy. And of course, it follows up the European research area specific action, where in the European research area, we have a specific action to promote gender equality as diversity in science and research and innovation, where the specific task of Horizon Europe is very important and addition. And this is also in accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals. You can find especially these goals for the whole EU. So these statistics are very important for us to know the current situation, and then what to address in our gender equality plans and in our structuring of the projects, because these point to the very basis and to the building blocks of the gender equality plan. You can, if you look on these examples, you can really easily see the connection why these blocks were chosen by the Commission, because the data on the actual situation really support that. And it's very, very helpful also when introducing this topic to our researchers and also to our research support staff, because then really shows the picture how it is and what needs to be addressed, and very helps also the individual institutions to address these issues. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm here for any of your questions or interesting points for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Zuzana. We are a bit out of schedule. And now I want to introduce Julia Kubisa. She is Associate Professor at the Institute of Sociology and Chief Equality Research and Education at the Warsaw University. The second speaker who is going to share the presentation with her is Anna Grędzińska. She's the Equal Opportunities Chief Specialist of this university, and both have participated in the development of gender equality plan for the University of Warsaw, which formed an equality policy at the university. Thank you very much, Julia and Anna, and I give you the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Julia, if you could share the presentation. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Carmen, for this nice presentation and introduction. So together with Professor Kubisa, we are going to give a brief overview on the activities and actions undertaken at the University of Warsaw to make it a safe place, free from discrimination, with the special emphasis on implementation of gender equality plan. So I will start from a few facts and figures regarding the University of Warsaw so that you will know what kind of institution we are. Our university is over 200 years old, and we are one of the biggest universities in Poland, if not the biggest, with 24 faculties. There are over 40,000 students and nearly 2,500 PhD students. And our university is also one of the biggest employer in the area with 7,700 employees. So because we are this big organization, of course, we are not free from some negative phenomena such as conflicts or unfair discriminatory behavior, which we try to deal with systematically and in comprehensive manner. So we try to change the organizational culture of our university. So right now I will give the floor to Professor Kubisa, who will provide the information on equality activities and actions on our university. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us today. And coming to the point, at the University of Warsaw, we are conducting several equality and anti-discrimination activities. So we have the website that is dedicated to equality policies, and it's a hub for getting information on equality actions and anti-discrimination support. We created 2 years ago, we created a social campaign, We Are All Equal, that consisted of posters and educational videos. We also provide educational guidebooks and publications, and these are guidebook on anti-discrimination, on prevention of sexual harassment, and recommendations for non-discriminatory language. We also, for the last several years, we've been providing educational courses and training. And we have this online self-evaluation course, which is called Understanding Equality, and it's in Polish and in English. And we also have workshops for students and employees. And all of this is included in our gender equality plan that we introduced last year. And Anna, the institutions?
Yes, so now coming back to institutions, I'm happy to tell you that the university has been developing vastly in terms of introducing comprehensive equality solutions. When I started my job 5 years ago at the university, it looked completely different with only a couple of institutions and which operated more in an informal way. So now we have like fully established environment, of course, still developing and improving, but the solid base is there. So as you can see, there is a number of institutions, and I will start from our job positions. So the Equality Division, which is established in central administration, so immediately under the Rector's office. And the Equality Division comprises of 3 persons and 3 positions. So this is me, Professor Kubisa, and we have one more colleague responsible for equality training. Another key position when it comes to equality and anti-discrimination procedures is academic ombudsperson. This is a team comprises of 4 persons again who deal with solving conflicts, supports employees and students, and intervenes in the event of violations of procedures and laws. We also have a rector's committee from prevention of discrimination, which conducts explanatory proceedings and issues opinions on allegation of discrimination, and anti-mobbing committee. There are also institutions affiliated with the Law and Administration faculty. This is Center for Dispute and Conflict Resolution, and Law Clinic, which provides free legal advice for those who need it. And we are very proud of our Psychology Counseling Center, affiliated with the Psychology faculty, which offers free psychological assistance to students and employees of our university. And we have Office for Persons with Disabilities, and the newest body, which is a network, actually, equality representatives in organizational units, And this solution was foreseen in our JEP, and the aim is to establish, as I mentioned, the network of representatives in faculties, institutes, and offices in case of administration. And the representatives are trained. Oh, sorry, are trained. Sorry, I'm in office, so people might not know that I'm just in the middle of conversation. So the representatives are trained, as I said, in the field of anti-discrimination and serve as a first contact point of in case of any misconduct or misbehavior. So now I've moved on to the preparation of the gender equality plan. I will start maybe not from the obvious that not all universities and institutions are eager to implement equality policies, and in that case some international requirements can be very helpful and can serve as a trigger. Fortunately, it wasn't the case of our university, but of course I can think of other institutions which can face this kind of problem. So for us, the trigger to create a comprehensive equality policy was receiving HR Excellence in Research Award, which was granted by the European Commission in 2016. And that was the first step aiming at creation and adoption of our JEP. And as this document is addressing the whole academic community, we made sure that it's well established, and our equality plan was adopted as a rector's ordinance, so the highest ranking possible document. And of course, the support from those on top positions, namely rector and rector's college, can grant success on gender equality plan implementation. And what is also crucial is establishing a gender equality team or division. And in my opinion, one person is a bare minimum because the workload is huge. It's not just creation of a gender equality plan, but implementation, so rolling out and making improvements, evaluation. So the best possible scenario is appointing a dedicated team and ensuring a job salary, of course, for the job. And doing it after hours may not be sufficient. Another key factor is ensuring sufficient funding, sufficient and sustainable. And of course, we are not talking about one academic year perspective, but like a long term, as the goals and objectives are also to achieve them. We need some time, so the perspective should also be long term. And we are using different sources of funding, starting from international, like EU programs, and national governmental grants and subsidies, and of course our own resources. And now creating a gender equality plan. So we need to remember that there are some fixed elements of JEPs, like objectives or indicators, but we need to adapt the document to the given context of the institution. So here the crucial thing is diagnosis, which is an initial step for creating JEP, and it will give us information about the major problems and barriers existing in our institution. What we need to remember and be aware of is the fact that there will be opponents who are not satisfied with the idea of adopting our gender equality plan, to say the least. So we need to build alliances and reach out to those who might help us in implementing the plan. And one of the most important success factor when introducing a new policy, and gender equality policy in particular, is broad consultation. So providing a safe space for different groups and stakeholders, and give them chance to share their opinions, ideas, and problems. And another important thing is visibility of actions. So we have been cooperating with the promotion office and press office since the very beginning, and we share the information about JEP on a regular basis. And what's most important, we highlight the benefits it will bring when objectives are met. When creating JEP, a dual approach is the most desirable one or recommendable one, as on the one hand, the gender equality team, of course, having the green light from the hierarchy, are those who are pushing and streamlining the gender equality policy. But on the other hand, we need to be open for opinions and ideas coming from different groups. So as mentioned before, we need to stay tuned and allow different actors to be heard. And as Gender Equality Plan is rather a comprehensive document full of actions, it is extremely helpful to indicate who is responsible for what and when. So this timetable should be monitored and revised as often as possible. And now is the time to dive into the Gender Equality Plan itself. So I'll give the floor to Professor Kubisa.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll share some details in our experiences of creation, preparation and creation design of the Gender Equality Plan. So we started in 2017 with internal diagnosis. So we conducted qualitative and quantitative and desk research at several faculties and then overall at the university. And so then we took the outcomes of the research project, and we also studied gender equality plans at other universities, and we participated in some foreign university study visits to discuss equality measures and equality policies and their experiences and challenges linked to that. We conducted several internal workshops and several rounds of consultations with at the faculties level, at the central administration level, with different stakeholders at the university. So the workers, the employees, the academic employees, admin, but also trade unions. And we consulted the first draft of the Gender Equality Plan, and afterwards we revised it, and then we had a round of expert reviews, both internal, the university anti-discrimination experts, and external. So as you can see, it was a multi-stage process, and we formulated 4 objectives that include actions and indicators. Just a second. Just a brief overview of the diagnosis. So, well, when we look at the people in charge, there's still a gender disproportion in key functions at the faculty and university level, and we can compare the last cadence to the current cadence, and it's still there are more deans men than women. There's only 1 woman in the among the vice rectors, and well, when we look at the research activity, we can see that men still receive more grants and scholarships. They also hold functional positions far more often than women. And what was really visible, both in the interviews and in the quantitative research, was that the leaking pipeline phenomenon. So women who defend their PhD and their work on their habilitation and then professorship feel that there is too much pressure for them on combining work and family, pressure on international experience and availability. And that's when, that's the stage when university loses their talents. That is also linked to a certain form of gender-based stereotypes. These were, and plus like challenge of sexual harassment, these were the challenges that we wanted to address. Coming to the objectives of the Gender Equality Plan, the first one is about raising awareness of the importance of equality issues and strengthening positive attitudes towards diversity. So here we have the actions, including training on equality for staff and students, implementation of anti-discrimination procedure, anti-sexual harassment recommendations, and more research and data gathering on the issues of gender equality. The second objective is about supporting the development of women's scientific careers. So here we try to address the leaking pipeline. So we are in the process of implementation of 2 projects. One is on mentoring program for young early stage researchers after PhD. women early stage researchers. And the second one is about networking for women PhD students. Then the third objective is ensuring gender equality in recruitment. So here we are working on the recommendations for the recruitment and selection process, so that first the university reaches out to unrepresented groups, and then tries to balance the recruitment strategies. And also here we conduct the research on gender pay gap. In the fourth objective, we aim to help a little bit with the combination of work and family life. So we're like initiating investments in care infrastructure and recognition of care duties in periodical evaluation, which, as we all know, the demands for academic employees become higher and higher, and also what pandemic showed us, the care duties play an important role in the possibilities of career development. And the fifth objective is the gender representation in different decision-making bodies, so like management, expert review teams, and also in popularization events. So we will draft recommendations so that university does not organize something called manels, which is like men-only panels of experts in popularization, scientific popularization events, but also in the decision-making committees. So these are the objectives. These were the objectives. And Anna, I passed the
Julia,
mic.
Anna, sorry, you have a minute to finish.
Yeah, and we are finishing.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a quick wrapping up our presentation. I would like to share with you just some few practical information which you may find helpful in creating and implementing your JEPs. So first, even the best written gender equality plan has little chance to be successfully implemented if we don't consult it beforehand with our superiors and other stakeholders. And on the basis of our diagnosis and analysis, we should set our goals and objectives, which should be achievable. So as much as we want to have a parity in decision-making position in our institutions, we should bear in mind that this could take some time. And so small steps are recommendable so that we won't discourage ourselves. Make sure that everybody has a chance to learn what you're doing, what actions are being carried out, and what will change when your JEP is fully implemented. We were not afraid to use support from the outside of the university. For example, we asked experts from organizations combating gender-based violence to conduct trainings on sexual harassment. So it's good to have the best on board. Of course, engage the whole community. And last but not least, be flexible. Gender equality plan, even when adopted, it's not set in stone. It should be a living document. And we should be able to introduce some changes and improvements depending on the context and changing conditions, especially right now with the pandemic. So that would be it. I hope you found our presentation interesting and useful. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, we will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julia and Anna, for this nice presentation. And then we go to the third and last one. The speaker will be Tereza Smužová. She is from Charles University in Prague, and she's responsible for the implementation of the European Human Resources Strategy for Researchers at her university. She has recently started leading the process of developing an equal opportunities plan in her university, and she'll talk about this experience and how important it is to have context and both national and international to share experiences and learn from others. Welcome, Tereza, and I give you the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm very pleased to speak here. As already said, I'm from Charles University in Prague, and we are at the very beginning of our way to having a gender equality plan. So maybe it's one step or maybe 1,000 steps before what Warsaw already presented. So it's my pleasure to present here what is being done at Charles University. First of all, I thought maybe just to give you a quick overview on Charles University. We are one of the oldest universities in Europe, founded in the 14th century. That says that we are quite a conservative institution. Actually, what's I think a nice thing to be mentioned is that a month ago, the first female rector in the history of Charles University was elected. So we have a first female. We will have a first female rector in almost 700 years. We have more than 13,000 employees and more than 50,000 students. And very important is the structure of Charles University, which is very much decentralized. We have 17 faculties and 14 other units. These are, for example, research centers or some, let's say, dormitories, etc., which are basically not connected fully with the rest of the university. So the decentralization was already quite a challenge for us. We started, as probably almost everyone in Europe, many years ago with some of the measures, and we already introduced several measures regarding the anti-discrimination procedures, and we had the Code of Ethics, and we have Code of Ethics Commission. We also received HR Excellence in Research Award, and we have a sexual harassment policy, psychological counseling, pretty much some of the similar things what were mentioned by University of Warsaw. We also have flexible working hours, home office. Even before COVID, we had already the option of having home office. And we have also 5 days for what is called personal development, which is basically 5 more days of in addition to your holidays. And we have support for young parents. We have university kindergarten, which is fully booked, and we have some financial support for having private kindergarten for your kids. So as you see, we have quite a lot of initiatives and measures going on, but it was very much lacking a comprehensive strategy. So why do we prepare a gender equality plan? The point is, as already mentioned, there are already many European strategies and there are many national strategies. As I already mentioned, there is HR strategy for researchers on European level. On national level, we have also gender equality strategies of our Ministry of Education, and what we see also at our university is a leaking pipeline. I have a picture here which was originally in Czech, but I put there some notes in English so that you understand, but I think that's something we are all very familiar with. We see that we have more students, more female students and graduates. If I see, for example, master graduates, we have 70% female, but then the further we go, let's say on the academic ladder, the less female employees and academics researchers we have. In the professors, we only have around 15% of female researchers and academics, which is very, very few. And then, of course, we had what Zuzana talked about at the very beginning of this seminar, that the gender equality plan was stated as an obligation for funding under Horizon Europe. So we, at Charles, we decided we are going to implement one complex, comprehensive university strategy that's going to somehow involve all the measures and initiatives that were already taken, but maybe to put it all on a next level. So at the beginning, there was a management's decision, and we were, the decision was mainly about internal versus external audit, and then university versus each faculty having its own strategy. And Julia and Anna before me talked a bit about involving external expertise and involving external views on your institutions, which is, in my opinion, very important. And at the end, we decided that we are going to go for an external audit. So we run public procurement for external auditors, and we found companies that helped us with the audit that's ongoing right now. Of course, we involved also internal employees. There are around 5 people from the administrative, from rector's office, from HR, and from European Center dealing with the audit. And then we also included one of my colleagues who is an academic in gender studies. She's an associated professor, and she's also bringing her expertise into the our small team that's working on the audit with the external auditors. The second question was whether we should have one comprehensive strategy for the whole university, or whether we should have smaller audits for each faculty and then having a smaller strategies and plans for each faculty. And here we also decided that it's much better to have a whole university strategy, as we also have one university strategy for HR award, this HR strategy for researchers. And we thought, or the main reason was that if we want to change the whole institution, then it's much better to have one comprehensive strategy, and then maybe the goals or the particular goals can be set for each faculty. Okay, so what was the audit about? First of all, we, as already said, we chose the employees that are going to work on the audit. Then we decided about the external auditors, and we decided that we will have a 3-step audit. First of all, there was an analysis of our internal regulations, policies, strategies, and I don't want to repeat what already Zuzana said about what are the content points, but it's about recruitment, working conditions, career possibilities, career options, safe environment, etc. The second point was analysis of data and statistics. This was mainly having huge Excel files on how many employees are on fixed term and not fixed term, how many employees work full-time and not full-time, what are the salaries, etc. And everything, of course, was divided by female and male. And the third step was employee satisfaction survey that we ran actually until Monday, until yesterday. And this was a pretty huge exercise. As I already said, we have 13,000 employees, and we sent a link for this employee satisfaction survey to each of them, and they all were able to fill in a questionnaire that was about 20 minutes, and it was pretty much dealing with the same issues as I already mentioned, about working conditions, about the work with their superior ones, about their possibilities of career progressions, and also on discrimination, whether they someone, or mobbing, whether they have encountered something like that, if they tried to deal with it in some way, etc. This survey was quite, I would say many people were interested, many people asked questions, which is always a good thing in my opinion. And we had around 15 to 20% people replying. So the response rate in, if we take it relatively, is not that high, but it was around 2,500 employees. So that's quite a lot, in my opinion. From these 3 steps, we will have an audit report that it's going to be drafted by the external auditors, and we are going to put our notes and comments, and also we are going to discuss this with our hierarchy, and then we will have draft a gender equality plan. That's probably not going to be named gender equality plan at Charles University. Probably we will choose something like equal opportunities plan or something like that, in order to not to use the word gender. That might be a bit controversial. And then, of course, again, we will send comments, we will discuss with our hierarchy, and then we will have a final cap that's going to be approved by the bodies. As also mentioned by Julia and Anna, it's very important to have consultations and to let people discuss. So, of course, we are also planning to have this passed by the Academic Council and other bodies at Charles. Within this quite long journey, we tried to learn from the others, and we tried to see what's going on at other universities. As I said, we are at the beginning of our journey, so we tried to cooperate with, first of all, our University Alliance for U+, which I'm very happy to see Julia and Anna from For You Plus here. We have a special work package on strengthening research and innovations human capital in our project that's also funded by European Union. And in this work package, we share our experiences, not only with equality policies, but also career development trainings and performance review, etc. So it's very useful to see what our other universities are doing. Then we are very happy to attend sessions like this, organized by UNICA or also other international organizations and networks. I think a very good group is also Andre Coimbra group that's called Diversity and Equality, that is co-chaired by my colleague from Charles University. And maybe something very new that happened in the last several months, that's that we have a new project by Czech universities, as we are trying also to share our experience with Czech colleagues, because we are of course in the same legislation and we have the same national strategies, so we try to cooperate as well. We already know each other mostly from the networks regarding the HR awards, so it was a bit easier for us to get in touch regarding gender equality plans. And this year, our Ministry of Education, every year our Ministry of Education has a call for applications for something that's called centralized development projects, and they also have like priority topics for every year, and they want the public universities to cooperate on this topic. So this year we had a call for applications for one topic that's also pretty much connected to gender equality plan, as we call the project, if we translate it, it's something like safe environment at universities, and more than 20 Czech universities are taking part. And if we get the project, then we are going to discuss not only gender equality plans, but also mobbing, sexual harassment, and other policies. And we are very much looking forward to cooperate with other partners on the national level and on the international level. And that's everything from my side, and I'm looking forward for the discussion.
Thank you very much, Teresa, for adjusting to the scheduled time. I have had a look at the chat and I want to summarize that most interventions related to congratulations for these really, really nice presentations, and also questions related to the availability, both of slides and the recording. The only direct question I can see right now is one related to, I think is addressed to all the panelists, whether you have used or not a custom-made questionnaire or maybe a well-established psychological questionnaire to get this information about the staff satisfaction. I think it's not addressed to anyone, so maybe anyone or even all of you may answer this question.
I can say for the University of Warsaw that we we had, as I said, the research project, and this was prepared by teams consisting of sociologists and psychologists. And we conducted qualitative interviews, and then we had a questionnaire that was built on the answers from the interviews. And the interviews were made by the sociologists, and the questionnaire was made in collaboration between sociologists and psychologists. So it was about the experiences, also on experiences on equal treatment, on discrimination, on sexual harassment, but also on the well-being. So yeah, and it was distributed among whole community of the University of Warsaw.
Thank you very much, Julia. Any other answer?
Maybe I can answer the same question. For us, it was also partly custom-made and partly standardized questionnaire, as we have psychologists drafting the questionnaire based on standardized psychological questionnaire, but then we also wanted to include several custom-made questions. And it was a questionnaire standardized for academic environment, so that we can somehow compare ourselves to other academic institutions. But then we wanted to include particular questions on issues that we wanted to tackle, such as some specific issues regarding our organizational structures, etc. So we also included that. But from my point of view, it's very important to don't have such a long questionnaire so that people actually fill it in. But then if you are already doing this huge exercise and you prepare the questionnaire and you send it to all employees, etc., that you get as much information as possible. So it's a really way of having a compromise and trying to find the best solution for this. And also maybe just to add another thing, that we really tried to comply with GDPR and all of these issues of personal security, and people really ask a lot of questions, what we are doing with their data and what we are doing with the results, and who is going to have access to the results. Mm-hmm. So it was, I think, for Charles University, it was a very good decision that we hired an external auditor who had the questionnaires, and not us having the filled in questionnaires as university, because then we can let's say we can tell the employees that the dates are really safe, because we only get aggregated data already somehow were being worked on, and not every single questionnaire that was filled in, and we can't really find who filled what.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And there's a second question related to this point. I think you have already answered it. Someone asks that you have hired external persons to help with GEP, and she or he asked for what kind of task. Have you hired them? And was there also an internal group responsible for GEP? And what what was the task division, if it was?
Yes, we hired external auditors, and the task was to prepare the questionnaire and to run the questionnaire, and then also to interpret the data from the questionnaire, as I said. But also the first and second steps of the analysis were done by external auditors. So they told us which documents, which internal regulations, what policies they want us to send them, and what data they want us to send them in what structure. And then they analyze the data we send them. And mainly the job done by the internal group, which is around 5-6 people, as I said, was to first to communicate with them, and also to review the questionnaire, to review what they are telling us, what they want from us, and to answer all their questions, to send them all the documents, and to prepare the data in the structure they wanted, which at the beginning didn't seem such a huge amount of work, but at the end it ended up really a lot of work. Also reviewing the questionnaire communication with the employees, that was all done by us, by the internal group.
Thank you very much. And I think we have still time for a last question. This one is from Jutta Wiesinger. And she said that, well, thank you for all your very interesting presentations, and make a question to Zuzana concerning aiming gender balance in a Horizon Europe proposal. She asks whether in a field where there are more women as researchers, would one need to ensure that there will be more male research members hired to be balanced?
Yes, indeed, that's the case. I mean, the balance goes for both genders. So if this field is represented by more women, then you need to find more men into the team. As it is always the case also with gender equality projects, we always strive to find more men to participate in the project, because the equality really goes both ways, and that is also meant. So even in your gender equality plans, if your institution sees already fields where there's a different representation, that needs to be addressed for both genders. And if I may add, also, because something that of interest that Tereza mentioned, also naming of the gender equality plan might be a tricky thing. So in the countries where you already have diversity strategies, or you have diversity officers, and you have diversity plans, when these plans include elements that were named for the gender equality plans, they are already eligible to fulfill this criteria. So also you need to think of your goals of your institutions in broader sense, what needs to be addressed, because all these things, as all presentations have shown, are really evidence-based decisions and evidence-based strategies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think we have no time for more questions, and just let you know that in the chat there's a link to this survey Vicky said us to fill in after this meeting, and she also gives more information about the events of this network in case we are interested in. I think that's all, and Vicky probably should close this meeting. Thank you very much to all participants. They have been really, really interesting interventions.
Well, thank you very much. Also for your excellent presentations, and also for the great questions, and to the audience who spent this more than 1 hour with us. We will send the presentations and the recording probably tomorrow, so they will be available also on the UNICA website and the UNICA YouTube channel. So thank you very much again, and have a great afternoon ahead, and